Karen Shaw, who coordinates getting the food and stuff, is going to be sending a sign-up sheet around for March. If that is already going around. If you can, or are interested, sign up. If you cannot, consider bringing $1 to put-ins because people who volunteer doing that frequently spend money out of their own pocket to do things, at least to get the tea and things like that, and the paper please think about that. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started so we can get Andy going on time. I'm going to call this meeting to order, and that means order, guys.
2 tacos to go.
Sorry, it's our joke. Do we have any guests? Class 40 or other guests? If you ever raise your hand, hand up, or whatever. Welcome. Welcome, everybody. Okay. Now I need a motion to approve the minutes from the last membership meeting. Okay. We got a motion from
Second.
Second is Paul. Okay. I guess next up is important stuff. That's called treasurer's report. So April, how do I do it? Everybody knows Claire, our treasurer? Famous person? What data?
We have money, we still have money, and sales tax paid, and moving on. Here is the income and expense for January. So, we took in quite a bit of money for the class tuition, and then we spent money for the Magic Garden class expenses. Anyway, we ended up with a net of spending $925 more than we brought in, but it's January. So, any questions? Okay.
That was clear. Thank you, Claire. We like it. All right. I think what we've got next is the volunteer report from Beth Smith. Well, you were more focused on your food than your cheerleading.
Volunteer opportunities have already begun. We started packing seeds yesterday. We packed 450 packets. We've got lots more to do. This seed project is continuing what Bill Nodine started last year, where we are doing seed packets in the library here in Seguin and then one of the libraries in Shirts. They put it in their card catalog and then they pull out the seed packets and go home and grow some of the vegetables that we like to talk about. So here are some dates. The crafting days right now, we're going to be painting pots. We've got lots of clay pots we're going to paint, and I'm going to take them all home and seal them. And we're going to plant some pretty flowers in some of them and see if that can help generate us a few more dollars per plant. And you can see those dates there. If we do well in the first couple of plant sales, and we're seeing that those are leaving us, we'll schedule some time to do some more. All it's going to be taking place here from 1 to 3, whether you're doing seeds or you're doing the crafting project, and we're meeting upstairs in the room right past where the master gardener office. Really big room. Yep, it's a real big room. You can spread out so everybody can do their thing. In the morning, you're going to be finding this, which is the 2025 Approved Gardens, Parks, and Projects list. I had several copies I put out there earlier today. If you grab one of those, that's great. You can have a hard copy, but you'll always be able to go and find this. So we'll have it online so you can take a look. Okay? Thank you much.
Did you want to talk about this one?
Oh, okay, yep. These are our plant sales starting in March. We have the first one at the Silver Center, then the following week we're going to be at the Red Barn, and then back at the Silver Center. Times right now are 9 to 10 for setup, 10 to 3 for the sale, 3 to 4 for the takedown. Make sure everybody gets their plants and goes home. You know where we're at.
It's really fun.
It is. It's really a lot of fun. And if we've got any interns, how many of your interns in here? Quite a few. Yeah.
It's a great way to get out.
It is a wonderful way to get hours, plus it is an absolutely, hands down, one of the best ways you can learn about plants here in Texas. Because you're going to be working with people who are master gardeners, and we have people in here that like are tomato specialists and squash specialists and pumpkin specialists. So they're going to be able to impart a lot of knowledge, not only to the people who are buying plants, but to anybody who's around them. So please come out and help support your organization. Let's make these plant sales really profitable.
Yeah, I have a question. Are you going to be sending sign-up emails
Yes,
out?
every day we'll go through sign-up emails.
Okay. Those of you who have not used Sign Up Genius, it's easy.
Really.
If I can use it, trust me.
Everybody type your name, hit enter, you're done.
And you set up your account. Once you're in, everything you sign up. I have multiple organizations that use it, and they all show up when I sign in. So when Beth sends the information out, please sign up and consider working. Aside from anything else, this is a great way to meet your community that we're serving and let them know about our organization and maybe even recruit some people for next year's class. So. All right. Now, we had, I started saying, unfortunately, Nick's event that many of you are aware of, Bill Nodine, who has been a very active member of our organization for a number of years and has been the education director for a number of years, and does a fantastic job, because of some health issues with his wife, has asked for a leave of absence. So we had to, on very short notice, find a new education director. And I want to give sincere thanks to Brenda Smith, who I'm not quite sure if she was volunteered or
Thank you, everybody. I've done a lot of work with Bill, as far as I've been some of the admin part of some of the lunch and learns, and other things, so I feel honored that he thought of me, and also I could do his job, so it's only February, so we'll see. But I'm learning, he's teaching me things, as we go along, I'm sort of communicating with him, so, so I am the new education director, and I look forward to getting up here and sharing what's going on with the organization and how the education of our members is coming along. I sent a report out to everybody via EMS. Does anybody have any questions about the report? There's plenty of opportunities. We've got some lunch and learns coming up in March. Still got the lunch and learns at the libraries. The next slide.
How many CE hours do we have to have this year?
10.
10.
Yeah, went up from 6 to 10. So, and your as well as your volunteer hours.
got something here for the student interns in the room. You don't need 10 additional. Now, that doesn't mean you should come and
You do
learn
you.
and enjoy classes, because you certainly should. But I know when I took the class, I was, we don't talk about how many years ago, it was confusing to me, because people said you had to have X number of CE hours, and I'm going, on top of the 50 hours of classroom work that I'm currently doing, and no, you don't.
Your education hours are covered for this year in this class. But does anybody have any questions about any opportunities that were on the report or about the report in general?
Well done.
All right. You got more time. I got more
Advanced training on
time.
this.
Yeah. And because there were more people that did take some of the advanced training, you could also possibly, or not possibly, but join the Speakers Bureau. We have the lunch and learns at various locations, either here or in the libraries, that you do that. So,
Let me pause right here again. Again, we have some newer members. Well, know what advanced training is, right? Once you get certified, sorry,
Put yourself
my,
out there.
my old trainer
Come on, tell us.
instincts are coming out. Once you are certified, you are then eligible, but not until you are certified.
right.
Because I've had, when I was coordinating the classes, I had trainees, interns come up and say, oh, I really want to go to the X, Y, or Z class that I saw advertised. And I'm going, well, I'm really sorry, but you've got to wait until you actually are certified Master Gardener. This is more in-depth training on things that are touched on in the Master Gardener class. And most of them are fantastic. I've been to 3, and they are fantastic classes.
Yeah. So, but also there's plenty of online opportunities if you know, if your schedule doesn't allow you to attend them, you can go online and get them and get your education hours as well. And then here are some more places where you can go and get some continuing education opportunities. I don't remember David's last name, but he is from the San Antonio Extension Office.
Rodriguez.
Yes, yes, Rodriguez.
He's really good, too.
All right, with that,
Is this list in VMS or somewhere that we can see?
it was in the email that I sent out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Question of your,
Something genius or genie?
Sign up Genius.
Genius,
Sign up to, you'll get an email with a link to it.
sorry.
So what's your email? You will get an email. I'm speaking for Beth here, but you should get an email for volunteer organizations that will have a link to sign up to this. And if you don't have an account, you go to that link and you set up an account. Okay? It's easy. It's really, I mean, like I said, I'm sure Frank is in the room. He's like checking Guru. He will laugh and when I say, oh, hey, I can do that. It's easy. He's probably sitting there going, yeah, I'll make it.
All right. Yes, hon?
The list you just had up there for classes, are those the classes you said only members can go to, or just
No, these are the advanced classes, they're only certified members.
But the classes with Spanish and like that.
Right.
With anybody.
Rodriguez.
Yeah, now, and once you learn some things like that, they're open to anybody.
Okay.
Okay?
What is Fanny's?
These classes here are open to.
They're nurseries.
It's only what's anything labeled advanced training.
So, yeah. Okay, any other questions? Yes.
In the classes that panic, are they free or is there cover charge?
They're free.
Sometimes there is a charge, but you'll know that ahead of time. sometimes there is a charge depending on what the speaker is that does at Fanix or Millburgers. You just have to check on the Bear County site, and they will, there'll be a notation off to the side if there's an extra fee. And usually it's minimal.
Let me just, I'm sorry. But the way that advanced classes work, we take certified master gardeners who are interested in something, say vegetables, I want to know more about vegetables, or propagation. And they go, a Master Gardener County Association sponsors that class, okay? The class is primarily, obviously, for their members, say, Guadalupe County, we've never done one, but say we did. It's really primarily for our members, but they reserve a certain number of slots in the class for the other counties to apply. No more than 2 people from an outside county can attend a class. So if you are certified and there's something you want to go to, get your application in fast. Travis, Frankie, our extension agent, has to approve it. Okay? And there is a fee for that, unlike the other stuff that Brenda is doing, the lunch and learns and that sort of stuff. Those are free. But for the advanced training, which we used to call specialist training, I still have my shirt. It says specialist. There's a fee, plus travel and that sort of stuff, and the organization will frequently help with that.
You guys still do a tri-county event?
I'm sorry, what?
Do you guys still do a tri-county event with, like, instead of going to, where is the?
Well, it depends. For example, I went.
Bryan, instead of going to Bryan or somewhere else.
Yeah, some of them are in Bear County, which is easy. I went to Fort Worth for propagation training. I went to Texas A&M for vegetable training.
No, this was a one-day event that three counties sponsored it and the speakers came.
It can be, yeah, it just depends. It's going to vary a lot.
That's the.
She's talking about the Small Mound County one,
Mill
yeah.
County does, yeah.
No, I'm sorry. I was the president here and started that event, and I just was asking if you still do that. It's paid.
I'm not saying we won't ever sponsor a class, we just never have.
This is all done.
Yeah, there's just three counties that did it.
Any other questions for me? Any other education?
These are good questions, Jess.
All right, well, thank y'all very much.
Okay, Joy Johnson, who is our membership can't be here right now. Did we not have a report? We didn't have anything. Have a report, we just have a couple of. Here's the recognition of, that's all we're going to do. Okay, I want to, before I do a couple special awards, I want to, if you wonder why I'm consulting April, it's because she helped me put the slides together. I want to do a couple of special awards. Those of you who were not here last month, we gave recognition to people who had 5 years and 10 years of service. Those awards are sitting on the front table as you sign in, so please stop and help yourself. But there were a couple of things that did not get done last time, and the first one was somehow one of my classmates, when I took the class in 2014, got left off the list entirely. I'm not quite sure how that happened. Is Bob Cox here? Only he was going to be here, because your last one.
He'll come late, he'll be here.
That's probably true. So if he does, I'll say, you know, I made a special effort. You weren't here.
All right.
Now, even more important. Listen, we have a great organization. And we have a lot of our members who have been with the organization feel so guilty.
Do that for
Because they
Monday,
share
trying
their
to beat the
knowledge
storm,
with us,
just made.
and that helps us grow as gardeners and as people. One of the people that is true of is Liz Romero. As far as we can determine, Liz has been with the organization longer than any other member. Like 35 years.
Oh, my God.
And I am honored. She's the first 15-year-old that She, when I was coordinating class, she used to help teach. She got rain barrels and irrigation and all sorts of good stuff. Liz is very knowledgeable about a lot of stuff. I also want to ask at this point in time for a motion from the floor to make Liz a member emeritus. So can I please have a motion? Okay. There?
Who are these people that love
And a
this?
second. Keith? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, now here's what's going to happen. The board made a motion to present this to you. Now that you have passed it, it is a done deal. We will send it to the state, and she is now a Master Gardener Emeritus, which is about the highest honor we can recognize. I don't know, I hesitate to ask this person to come up. Paul Carter. Paul Carter is, I can't say enough things about him, but most of it's all beautiful. Hey, I taught you everything you know. Paul is coordinating the plant sales for this year, and he's taken off a great start, and he wants to give a status report. Did you not know you were going to give a status report?
Our plant sale, we're on a good direction this year, like we were 3 years ago, to have an exceptionally good plant sales. Okay, and that's due to, I got a plant sale, a protein meter with a hand.
Ma'am, will stand up.
She's in charge of that. Require a lot of donations from the different members of our National Garden Organization. And we have online sales. We have hundreds of plants right now.
You should see her business back room.
Those plants on the porch right there, they're all inside.
We don't have just vegetables. We got herbs. We got companion plants. We have plants for planting in the yard, decorative plants and whatnot. That's all going to be in the sale. We have, I think it's 13 venues that we're going to have for the year. These are the spring ones right here. And then we have fall ones that are starting in December. We've got the fair. We have Real Fest. We have a contest. We got Kingsbury. So we got quite a few there also. So we got a lot of sales. We even got a good sale that's going to happen at the Apology Beach. It's not just going to be a sale. They're going to have
Keep it as a question.
Open house.
We're going to have open house where everybody can go in and visit the Apollo Mansion, which was built, I believe, in 1847.
It's pre-Civil War house.
Very informative. we have a good time in doing this thing.
Just a small correction, it's April 5th.
April the 5th.
Yes, that's a Saturday, April 5th. So that's a little typo. That's all.
We have not gotten a specific date on the, Kingsbury plant sale yet, but as soon as we get it, we'll put it on there. But we're looking forward to getting these sales done. And the key to the whole thing is the teamwork, getting this done and getting the volunteer plants, getting the volunteers to work on growing the plants. It's very important that we have this, and it's going to be successful. I have a good feeling about it. So,
Paul, we want to thank you and Pam and Tim, everybody who's working on this. Tim Steele, who's also working with Paul, will not be here tonight. But they're doing a wonderful job with this, so thank you so much. And I see, I need to say thank you to you sometimes.
Stay up here.
oh, wait, there's
Don't go away.
Is Marcia here?
We have something else to do.
Oh, there you are.
Where is Pam?
Y'all want to see some of the plants, Marcia bought some today. Guys, 4 times a year, the board gets together and we get to pick somebody to be the master gardener of the season, which is an honor of our group. It's the master gardener of our group. And we've had some pretty great people get this award. Bill Modine, who we were talking about earlier, was, I think, the last guy that got it. Paul, April, I think, was the first person when we, I think you were. Anyways. That was, but that's right, when you did the 4th of July. Right. Okay, so tonight I have the honor of presenting the Master Gardener of the Season certificate and gift. Gotta have a gift. And it says right here, oh, I should have brought my glasses. Who's got glasses? Read it, Peg.
All right, it says right here, Paul Carter
Paul Carter.
is continually reminding us to show what we grow and share what we know.
Yeah.
For his unwavering contribution to doing that very thing, we're making this award.
There we go. So, signed by many people in the home. And here is your
Open it and share.
Open it and share. Show what you know.
Read everything. Get started painting.
I can't tell you how much I've learned from Paul and how fun he is to work with. Except for when he just, kind of makes me do things. That's a lot of fun.
thank you all.
We love him, don't we, guys?
Well deserved.
And you get to find out what we got you. We got you something to carry around.
Look, you don't like it, okay.
It has his name on it.
Peel and stick.
Well, I want to tell you all that it's been an honor to be able to be with the Master Gardening Organization. It was an honor to take the place of Richard Lee.
You refer to me as your name.
I've learned a lot and we've been successful at what we've done. And that's because of all the volunteers and everybody.
Yeah, we do it together.
About the organization, we've achieved the things that we wanted to achieve. Oh,
This is his coffee cup.
I'll carry this around with me.
It says, it has our logo on it at the top. And it says Master, go ahead.
It says manual labor.
No. Master Gardener of the Season 2025. It's got his name on it. He can't give it away or sell it at a garage sale. Congratulations to Paul. Let's give him a hand. when we were trying to vote on it, you know, and I was trying to, you know, talk to the board about, you know, I thought he should be a good candidate, you know. And there he was, sitting at the board meeting, like sitting in the room. And so I just kind of casually walked over to where he was sitting. I took his hand, I pulled him up out of his chair. I walked him to the door. I said,
Shut the door in his face.
excuse me, you'll have to leave now. Shut the door. I said, I'm calling you back in a little bit, you know. And he looked bewildered, I don't know why.
But he was surprised. All right, the next thing I want to spend a couple minutes talking about is the memorial service for Mark Mullen, Mary Bowe, and Ben Tice. It was scheduled originally for this coming Saturday. Given the weather, now it's a nice balmy spring weather that you can expect in South Texas in February, right? We could have 80 degrees, or we could have what we're going to have Saturday, or even tomorrow for that matter, which is going to be worse than Saturday. So we have one Miami week. Okay, so it will be the following Saturday, the 1st of March, at 1:30 at the South Texas Pregnancy Center. And I hope as many of you as possible, I know many of you knew some or all of those people. They are major contributors to our organization. Now deceased.
We've got the plaques back there for them to see.
Okay, yes, I'm sure you probably saw them, but the plaques that we're going to place by the trees are on the table back there. Take a look. Now, originally we had also, I want to recognize some people for going above and beyond here. We had originally planned to dig the holes for the trees and then the day prior to the service, and then plant the trees during the service. Because we postponed it, we have decided to go ahead and plant the trees and just place the plaques at the service. We were going to plant the trees tomorrow morning. You know how cold it's going to be tomorrow morning. So that has been postponed until Monday morning. And Paul Carter, this is why he's here, Carter this evening. Tim Steele, who could not be here, and Keith Mott, who is not here either, are going to dig the holes and plant the trees for us, so that they are ready to go for the memorial service. And I want a big thank you for all of them, please. They all said they would continue to come out tomorrow, even though it's going to be freezing.
The Pregnancy Advocacy Center already has a lot of live oaks and a lot of trees that are planted on the property, but they particularly asked us for cedar elms, which are beautiful, big trees. They're about 80 feet tall, cedar elms, and one of those. Well, no, they're little right now. They will be very big later.
They're about 70.
And we picked a chinkapin oak tree, which is a little bit different. When you do your, students, when you do your study on trees, you'll find out about how great these trees that we picked are. So we did that because that's what they wanted us to do, and we thought that was a good choice already.
What time is it? What time will the memorial be?
1:30.
1:30. Thank you.
On the first.
Kale sent you Larry, Kale sent you an email.
Okay, David tells me it's on the calendar,
Thank you.
now on VMS, so if you want,
On the website.
oh, on the website. Yeah. So anyway, I hope that your schedule permits you, you'll try and come. I also wanted to take a minute to thank April Ripple and Pam Younger, who have basically spearheaded this project of getting this organized. And you know, getting the trees, getting the plaques, getting everything taken care of, so thank you.
Sort of initiated it about 3 years ago, and then COVID happened, and they got postponed, but I'm glad we're finally getting it done.
The timing just finally came at the right time, And the people at the pregnancy center have been phenomenal to work with. So. All right, see what's up next. I think that next we have a class report from a master gardener, class of 40, an intern, Annette Padgett.
I just want to say the classes so far have been fantastic. I mean, amazing. The level of the instructors, you could see their excitement on the subject that they're doing. Our last class, we even got hands-on with tools, yay! Me, I'm a tool person, gadget person, and we actually got to build a little frame, use a heat lamp, and oh, I tell you, I originally came from Montana, moved here in July, got the heat, oh my gosh. The heat and humidity, woof!
We got some now.
Oh, yeah, I have about 9.5 acres, that's fair, we're just now starting to build our house. So I'm so excited about this class to learn about the dirt, my dirt that I have in my yard. I can have nice sandy soil, and then I go 10 feet over, and it's hard. So I'm learning all about our soil and learning to be a guardian of our soil. So I am just so excited. I can't wait to start my vegetable garden. I want to have a flower garden, pollinators. So I'm just learning about everything, and I'm just so excited.
That's quite a tribute to the instructors and coordinators of the class. Thank you. Pam, I do believe you're up next.
Are we gonna have just a few minutes, because do we have a computer all set up for our speaker? Done?
We're going to take a break, but did you have anything else you wanted to cover?
Oh, you're up.
Introduce
Your lectures.
I was just gonna cut, oh, my lecture, yeah. Okay, let me do that part. Okay, one, okay. Do you all get the idea that a bunch of us in here are really glad we're Master Gardeners, really proud to be members of this organization? I can't believe on a night when it is this cold that this room is empty. That really says a lot. We were like, I hope, earlier today, I hope 10 people show up. But I am so proud to be a member, and I'll tell you, as vice president, you know, my main job, of course, is to support my president. That is it. I support my president. She says jump, and I say how far. And also, I stand in for her when I need to. And so that's my number one job. But my other job is to provide the educational part of these monthly meetings. Are we going to do that part? Oh, well, I'm not even looking at the board.
Back up and what's that?
Okay. I asked April to make this slide because, and y'all are seeing some of these cards going around. We've got people having surgery. We have people with deaths in the family. We have things going on with our membership. And I just want you guys to, I really want to encourage you to find somebody. If you know something that's going on that we might not know, we want to be able to get a card out to them, to send a card around and give them a little bit of our love, you know? So,
Pam is the card queen.
I'm a card person, so hey. So contact me if you want to. You know, I am not hard to find. So, but anyway, send in emails, call, find a way to get this information to us so that we can reach out to the people that need us, you know, our friends. Okay, next slide. Next slide.
Let's take 5 minutes.
Oh, wait a minute. Next slide. Okay. Now, I was telling you all about being proud and all that, and that my job is to, well, you know, I'm a day slave, but other than that, I also do the educational part of our monthly meetings. And I'm going to tell you, it's really fun to do that because, like, you're going to love our speaker tonight. We've had him here before. I'll introduce him in a little bit. But these are some of the ones that are coming up. We're going to do Superstars in March. That's going to be a really good one. I tend to love Superstars. We're going to have somebody we haven't seen in a long time, and that's Jerry McNulty. If you've been around for a while, you know Jerry McNulty, fabulous speaker, and I finally got him to say yes. He's coming in. Mark Bannock is coming back. We've got Kathleen Scott. She's awesome. She's real hard to get. She's coming bringing wings, to the garden that you bird lovers. And then I've got the Gretchen's coming. I've got if y'all are in the Sourdough Club or you know anything about the sourdough people, you know about Mark and Gretchen. They have business here in Seguin. They do a lot of beeswax products, and she does the most beautiful flower pressings you've ever seen. And so they're going to come and kind of share their knowledge about that kind of stuff. I'm really excited about that. So I get to talk to all these cool people, and I hope that you guys come and listen and learn a little bit from them. And if you have any suggestions for someone that you would like to see come back or somebody you know about, tell me about it. So, and that's it. Okay.
All right, now we're going to time so that Andy Blair can get set up. And if anybody needs to go, we'll give 5 minutes.
5 minutes. Look, he's so young looking, isn't he?
Sorry, I didn't get here earlier. I was taking my part.
Guys, are y'all ready? Okay. You may remember Andy Blair coming to speak to us about a thing or two in the past. He calls himself a plant-centric ecologist. It's a pretty interesting self-description. And of course, he's a biologist. He got his degrees from Mary Hardin Baylor and from Texas State University. He works with the Texas Department of Transportation right now, lives in New Braunfels, and he loves to share information that he knows with folks like us. But of course, the number one thing that I think about when I think about Andy Blair is that he uses these darling terms like critters. He says things like critters. And so I think you're going to find him pretty fun to listen to. And now we're going to learn more than we ever thought we would ever want to know about flies. Put your hands together for it.
So thanks for all of you guys for coming out on a really cold night. We could have just stayed home and watched the beach. Thank you for coming here. I think this is the third or fourth time that you guys have invited me to come speak to this group, and I've really enjoyed it every time. And so I would say, I think you guys either like me or you're just glutton for punishment. And then thirdly, and maybe most importantly, thank you to all the folks that brought food tonight. Really great.
Yes, thank you.
With that, I've heard that the most dangerous thing in the world is to rile up a hungry crowd. So thank you guys for saving me from that fate. I'm going to talk to you guys tonight about flies. And I find whenever I ask people about flies, most people
But it's only after you kind of open your mind a little bit and open your eyes a little bit, when you're outside, that you realize there's a lot more to them than most people realize. So, I would say, flies don't get no respect. So we're gonna try to open our minds tonight. We're gonna try to learn about all of the important things that flies do for us and for the ecosystems and for our gardens. I would say in general, within our culture, there's this real animosity toward flies. If you get online and you type in flies, the first 47 entries are going to be how to kill them, how to get rid of them, how to get them out of your house. It's all going to be negative stuff. It's going to focus on what we would call like pest species and negative things about them. It's going to focus on diseases that they spread. And just within our culture, we kind of have this aversion to a lot of insects that we don't know a lot about. Cockroaches are a really good example. They're just kind of this like, people get the heebie-jeebies when they think about cockroaches, right? So flies are kind of the same way. Like, if you're talking about insect larvae, so a caterpillar and a maggot are basically the same thing. But when somebody says caterpillar, you kind of get these little fuzzy, right? And when they say maggot, you're like, so we're gonna try to get over our aversion to this sort of dirty insect phobia of flies. And we also just sort of have a cultural blind spot for flies. Most people don't know much about all of the diversity, all the different types of species, all the different types of families of flies. And most people don't know much about all of the different functional roles that they play in ecosystems, in our backyards, in our gardens. And so we're going to talk about that tonight. And I would just say when you ask the average person, even somebody that's really into gardening and pollinator gardening and like growing things for bees and monarch butterflies, like if you ask them about flies, they're like, hey, those are really pollinators, right? They're not really beneficial insects. So we're going to dispel some of those myths tonight. And I think kind of the way to do this is until you are educated about something, until you learn about it, it's really hard to appreciate it. And we went through the same sort of thing, I think, in our culture with bacteria. I want to use bacteria as kind of a surrogate here. Think about how we can reframe what we know about flies. So 10, 15, 20 years ago, when you ask people about bacteria, it's all the same things. Germs, it's negative, it's all focused on these disease-causing organisms. And now we realize that there are thousands, millions of bacteria that are really important in soil health, in protecting plants, in our own our guts. And so as we've learned more about them, we've learned to appreciate them. So let's start with kind of basics. What is a fly? Flies are in the order Diptera. That's the Latin name we give to all of the things that are considered true flies. And it just means two wings, Diptera. I'm going to throw a lot of Latin at you guys tonight, but I'll try to break it up in English. As you can see, see if I can make the pointer thing work here. Right here, he's actually missing a wing in this diagram. But what sets flies apart from all the other insects is they only have one set of functional wings on the front. And one set of flight wings, and the other set of wings, all the other insects have two sets of wings, have been not completely lost, but they've deteriorated into these little tiny knobby structures called tears. We don't really know what they do. I think they might have something to do with balance, but we're not really sure. But they really just have these two wings. So when you see something that kind of looks like a fly or kind of looks like a bee or a moth, and you're not really sure, if you can look at it closely enough to see, does it just have two wings or does it have four? That's a good way to tell them apart. Flies are a very diverse group. There are about 127 different families of flies that have been described. And so far there's been about 150,000 species of flies described, but that's probably just the tip of the iceberg, because there's a lot of places we haven't been, and not a lot of even scientists are saying that we're looking for flies. So they're kind of the last things to be described. They're also very functionally diverse if you think about it in an ecosystem sense. Flies are nutrient recyclers, some of them are predators, some of them are parasites, some of them are pollinators, some of them do a little bit of all of those things. And then another thing that's really cool about flies is a lot of them have these really distinctive like life cycles where the larvae, the babies, have a completely different role that they play, different uses than what the adults do. So that's something that we'll talk about as we go through some of these fruit flies. So that's what a fly is. What isn't a fly? So we're going to play a little trivia question here. I'm gonna put up some photos of things that are a something fly, and when you get bonus points, you can tell me what kind of fly it is. It's not really a fly. Well, these are things that people use the word fly for that aren't actually good for. They're not actually true flies. Let's do the point here. I'm gonna go. Start with this easy one. Dragonfly. What's this one? Dragonfly. What about this guy over here?
Mayfly.
Mayfly. Oh, here's a tricky one. Any fishermen out there? You find these near the water? This is a caddisfly. They kind of look like moths.
But these are part of the flies you're talking about.
These are not flies. These are not true flies. So there's a lot of things that aren't flies that have the word fly in the name. So that's where we're going to go. Any more here? All right, let's go. These are tricky, right? Anybody eat this big guy? Nice big dogs.
No, I just.
You find the larvae of these under rocks. They're called helgamites. This is a dobson fly. Alright, any more fishermen out here. Another one that's found in the water. This is a stone fly. You find these guys hanging out on the bushes and mountains of the owl fly. They're actually related to the ant lions. What is this weird thing here? It's like remember, it's got fly in the name.
A mantis fly.
It's a mantis fly. They're actually not related to praying mantises at all. They're a different order of insects. They sort of look like little flying praying mantises. All right, we got a few more here. An easy one.
Butterfly.
Okay, what about this guy over here? Firefly. We've got a little tricky ones here.
A beetle fly.
This one was in my backyard. In my garden.
A backyard garden fly.
This is a
Barfly.
type of wasp that has
Barfly?
like a
That was funny, that came
kind of
from over
wasp that
here.
has a caterpillar-like larva that eats plants, and they call them sawflies. And one of my personal favorites. Have you ever seen one of these? Weird fires. That's super flies. There he is. Those are all flies that aren't flies. So we're not going to talk about any of those anymore. We're going to talk about the stickers. We're going to talk about true flies the rest of tonight. All those things are also interesting, but
Where do you find that scorpion fly at?
outside. But they're around. I typically see them around like streams and rivers where it's kind of forested. The fly life cycle. So flies kind of have these 4 stages in their life. They have an egg stage, a larva stage, a pupal stage, and then the adult stage. The type of insects, I'm going to give you guys some like SAT level big words tonight. So insects that do this thing where they go from this really weird looking larva to a pupa stage where they like metamorphose and then become adults. We call those colobacabulus. Insects that like grasshoppers that just kind of have like a juvenile stage and then it's like a little adult grasshopper that gets a little bigger, and a little bigger, and a little bigger, and becomes adult. We call that hemicabulus. So flies, wasps, butterflies, beetles, those are all colobacabulus insects. And the larvae of flies are called, everybody knows? Maggots. Some flies actually skip the egg stage. We can talk about that. Some really interesting things they do. pupa, it's kind of similar to like a cocoon on a caterpillar or a moth. It's usually kind of a little hard protected case that they're in while they're changing their clothes, going from a larval stage to adult stage. And then the adults are almost always winged. They almost always have 2 wings. They'll never have 4 wings, so that's 4 wings is not a fly. But some of the parasitic species that we look at have either lose their wings or they don't have wings as adults. So how do flies make their living? There's lots of different ways that flies can make a living. Some more great Latin words for you here. The word vor, if you ever see it, just means that's what it eats. So the tridivore eats detritus, so that's fallen leaves and dead plants. An herbivore eats live plants. A fungivore eats fungi, yeah, mushrooms. So we've got these little the wrong thing here. Here we go. You see these little maggots that are inside of the mushroom. That's the fungivorous fly. And we see the larval stage. Scavengers, things that eat dead things, like a vulture, and coprophages. This might be the best word that you learned tonight. Anybody know what coprophage is?
Dead bodies.
It comes from the Greek word kopros, meaning they love food. Yeah. So this little butterfly down here is some flies eat them. Other flies are parasites or parasitoids. I'm going to use those 2 words tonight. They're very similar, but they have a little bit different meaning. So a parasite is an animal that lives on another animal, and it does something to the animal that's not necessarily beneficial, but it usually doesn't kill it. So a lot of times parasites will drink the blood, or they'll eat a little bit of the tissue, and it harms it, but it doesn't kill it. A parasitoid is something that attacks its host and usually eats the whole thing and kills it. And so we're going to talk larvalies or parasitoids, things that we would consider pest insects, which is one of the reasons why not many people know about. Some flies are just straight up predators, like this robber fly here. Big guy, he's eating a house fly. And then a lot of them are flower eaters. So as adults, they eat all of the nectar just like bees. Okay. So getting to know your local flies, there's a couple of kind of broad groups of flies. The more primitive flies, the first flies involve what we call nematoceres, and that just means they have thread-like horns, thread-like antennae. If you've seen mosquitoes, crane flies, those are good examples of nematoceres. They have this kind of thread-like antenna, really long, they have lots of segments, real skinny, and then in the males, so you've got a female here on the left, and on the right, this is a male. The males kind of have these plumose like really branchy feathers of wings. So that's kind of how you can tell what the male and female are those. They also usually have kind of long, slender bodies and long, kind of gangly legs. The rest of the flies, kind of the more evolved flies, are called brachyceres, which means they have short horns, and that just means their antennas have kind of shrunken down to just a few segments, and they're a little bit more specialized. They come in all sorts of shapes and sizes, and include a lot of the other flies that you've heard of, like house flies, horse flies, soldier flies, robber flies. Lots more. We're going to talk more about brachyceres tonight. We'll talk about a few nematoceres first. Okay. A couple of nematocere groups. We have the mosquito family Cubicidae. The females of mosquitoes drink blood to provide nutrients and protein for their developing eggs. Yes.
Are mosquitoes flies?
Yes.
Now we know.
So mosquito is a Spanish word, comes from the Spanish word mosca, which means fly, which means little, it's just a little fly.
Little flies.
Yeah. So really, any tiny fly, if you call it a mosquito, you're not necessarily wrong, right? Even if it's not a illicit mosquito. Okay. So the true mosquitoes, the ones that suck blood, the females, when they're not producing eggs, don't suck blood. They drink nectar or juices from plants. And the males always feed on nectar and plant juices. So the males don't suck blood. And then the larvae of mosquitoes are really important in like aquatic ecosystems. They're one of the main food sources for a lot of things: fish, frogs, tadpoles, a lot of things eat mosquito larvae. So they're really important. And then actually, we have one mosquito here that's a very large mosquito called the colorful mosquito, Toxorhynchides. And as an adult, it doesn't drink blood. It only drinks nectar. And the other really cool thing about this mosquito is their larvae. You can see there's a mosquito larvae here, and one of them is not like the other. It's eating the others. That's an healthy mosquito, eating the other mosquito's larvae. And so they have predaceous larvae. Instead of regular mosquitoes just going to filter stuff from the water, these guys go around and eat all the mosquito larvae. Yes?
Is there a reason why mosquitoes prefer certain people over others?
Probably so. There's a lot I don't know. I find that out.
I used to wonder why God put mosquitoes, allowed them to be, had a great hate for them. Until I saw one night on Discovery and Nat Geo, way up in far northern Canada, the grass was black with baby mosquitoes. And baby ducks were walking around just eat them all. So, okay, it's worth it. It's worth it to have baby ducks.
Yeah, okay. Another group of these kind of more primitive types of flies are the crane flies. There's 4 or 5 different families of crane flies all within this super family called Eulodia. They're one of the oldest groups of flies around. We think that they, from like the fossil record, we think they've been around about 245 million years. So before the dinosaurs, there were crane flies that look very much like the crane flies we still have today. They haven't changed that much. They're adults. A lot of them don't eat at all, but the ones that do just eat nectar or plant juices. They don't suck your blood. Some people call these things mosquito hawks. I don't know why, it's just one of these names that popped up. They don't eat mosquitoes. They don't eat other insects. Their larvae, most of them live in the soil and eat plant roots or just dead plants, organic material in the soil. Some of them are pests of like lawns. Some people have like, kind of have it out for crane fly larvae. But I've never had any issues with it. A couple more of these kind of more primitive types of flies. There's a group called the larvae are called bloodworms. The adults are called, they're just a type of midge, which midge just means a little fly. A lot of things are called midges. But they're in the family of Chironomidae. And the Chironomimus means one who waves his hands around. And so when you see these guys perched on something, they kind of have their 2 back legs holding on, and their front legs will be like doing this kind of thing. So they're the guys that wave their hands around. Their larvae live in like really gross, stagnant water in like silt and muck, where there's really, really low oxygen. And so like these are one of the insects that's really important in kind of polluted streams, including lakes and ponds, at like providing the basic food chain where nothing else can survive. And the reason that they can survive where there's so little oxygen and nothing else can is because they actually have hemoglobin, just like we do, which is what makes our blood red and helps us to absorb more oxygen. One of the very few insects that has the adults kind of look like mosquitoes, but they don't bite. They only drink nectar and juices. So that's why they're only non-bite babies. Another group that you might have, if you have potted plants in your house and you water them as frequently as my wife likes to water hers, and they maybe get a little too wet and they start to develop fungus in there, you'll get fungus gnats. And they just kind of think, oh, look, mosquitoes are really small, but they kind of come back. Their larvae feed on fungi and decomposing plant material. They don't usually hurt plants. There are some species that, if they run out of other dead stuff, people are going on trying to do some parts of plants. They don't usually do a lot of damage. One of the cool things that I like about these fungus gnats is that there are plants that actually produce flowers that smell like rotting mushrooms. And the reason they do that is because it attracts fungus gnats. Is anyone familiar with the swan flower? This is a really common plant that we have probably more than the birds you've ever seen. It looks like grass for all of the days of the year that's not flowering. But when it flowers, it has this weird kind of flaggy little flower that has this kind of maroonish, brownish, white spots, and it smells like rotting mushrooms. And fungus gnats go into there and like they get drawn into that smell and they go in and pollinate. Okay, these are the flies that most people know. You say, what's a fly? This is it, right? Yeah, there's the black ones and the green ones, right? I don't know if I mentioned this before, but I grew up, my dad was a pig farmer. And so I had a very intimate knowledge of certain types of flies from a very young age. And this is a couple of them. House flies are all in the family Bucidae. Their larvae tend to eat dead decaying things, organic material, food. Anything you use out of a picnic. And really the issue with most people after these is they're not real picky about what they'll eat. And so they'll go from one thing to another. And if they start with food and then go to the picnic, that can cause some cross-contamination. So the main story there is the food covered and move away from it. But they really are an important role and a really important role to play as recyclers all of the waste products and things that we produce. And there's several species of housefly, but the one that we most associate with is the domestic housefly. Basically evolved with humans once we started living in like villages and kind of more sedentary systems where we had waste piles everywhere. And they follow us all over the world. What a lot of people know is that houseflies, both the domestic housefly and all the other species of houseflies out there, are actually important pollinators for a lot of things. Anybody like mangoes? So one of the most important pollinators of mangoes are actually houseflies. And if you go to the Arctic tundra, places where it's too cold for most other insects, there's a whole system of different housefly species that pollinate all of the flowers that are developed. So almost the only pollinator out there. So they can be really important in some of those alpine ecosystems.
Do you know how far their range is? We have some houseflies. How far out do they go?
I don't know how far they go, where an individual fly will go. I don't know. It's a good question. The next family, they kind of look like houseflies, but they tend to be kind of greenish or bluish metallic color. These are blowflies, family California. Their larvae usually either feed on dead things or food, sometimes both. And then a few of them are actually parasites on warm-blooded animals like cows and pigs and sheep and people. If you have a parasite that attacks something, that's the disease of being attacked by a fly parasite is called myiasis. So if you hear that word, myiasis, that's means like there's a fly living. They usually live just kind of in this way. We'll talk a little bit more about parasites in a minute. I know you guys are excited about that. There's one species of blowfly that was actually, it was common in North America. It was one of the main parasites on white-tailed deer. It kind of helped keep white-tailed deer numbers in check, along with all of their top predators. And when Europeans came here, we killed off all the predators. And when we realized once we brought cows in, they were being attacked by these blowflies. That was a problem, and so we got rid of all those as well. And so one of the reasons we have so many white-tailed deer here now is because we remove both the predators and their parasites. So even things that we think are just like objectively bad, like parasites, have a role to play. And we don't always know what that is. The other thing about blowflies that are parasites or have, do things we don't like are actually pretty good pollinators too. And you'll often see these, any sort of flowers out, especially early in the spring and the fall before all the bees and stuff are out. Blowflies. Keep an eye out for them one day. One of my favorite families of flies are, they go by the name bristle flies. They're the family Tachinidinae. And they come in a lot of different shapes and sizes. One of the things that they usually have, some of them are kind of house fly-like. This guy up here. They look like a big house fly on steroids. But you'll notice that he's got these like big bristles on his butt. So the bristle flies usually have some sort of like robust bristles, especially on the back of their abdomen. Sometimes on the other line. The adults usually feed on nectar, so these are really common flies that you'll find on flowers. And their larvae are all parasitoids. So we said parasites live on something, such as blood, you move it up and leave it alone, they drop off and leave it alone. Parasitoids are much more effective. And so they tend to, what a lot of these flies will do is they'll lay an egg, so they're going to parasitize a caterpillar, maybe a cutworm. They'll lay their egg on it, the egg will hatch, the maggot will burrow into the caterpillar and eat it from the inside out, and then it will make a little cocoon, a little pupa inside the caterpillar's body, and then it will emerge as an adult. So the hornworm, it gets better.
You've only just begun.
These guys, they parasitize a lot of different types of caterpillars, mostly moths. And a lot of them are things that are pests in our gardens, things like fall webworms and army cutworms, tomato hornworms. They parasitize a lot of them, so it's really super beneficial insect to have around, not just because they'll pollinate plants, but also they'll keep those caterpillar populations in check. Same thing with this fuzzy guy down here. Looks like he kind of got a bad haircut. Here we go. This is the yellow-tipped Belvossian. Another one that eats, the larvae eat caterpillars. And then these other two guys are both parasitoids of different types of true bugs, like stink bugs. Is anybody a fan of squash bugs? Okay. So this guy right here, this is the swift feather-legged fly, Trachypoda pinipes. It's actually a pretty common fly that we have here. Kind of Halloween colored, and if you look at his back legs, he's got these kind of like wing, feathery looking things. I always think he looks like Hermes, the messenger god. These guys attack squash bugs and other stink bugs that eat plants and lay their eggs on them, and then the eggs burrow in and eat them.
I love it.
So keep an eye out for them.
Yeah, don't kill them.
Okay, the fun ones. So here's a couple of families of flies that are actually true parasites. These tend to live on mammals or birds, or some mammals and birds. Warm-blooded animals. The bot flies, anybody heard of bot flies?
Yeah.
Bot flies are parasitic on mammals primarily, and what they do is the egg hatches and then burrows into the skin, and then they live just kind of right under the skin. So we've got right here, this is a mouse bot fly. These guys attack mice and rats, and they're kind of weird looking. The adults don't actually eat. Their mouth is like not functional at all. But the larvae, they live under the skin, and then they have the tip of the back end, the butt end, is where they breathe through. And so they emerge and have a little hole, like a little breathing hole that sticks out of the skin. So you see these little skin volcanoes with a little hole at the top so they breathe through. They usually don't kill their own, especially if they're like on a deer or on a larger animal. They'll get these little things that have a kind of little growth. It'll grow up, it'll drop off, and then they're fine. if you get a mouse or a squirrel that gets attacked by a bunch of these, it can kill them. So sometimes parasites do actually kill their host if they're just kind of overwhelmed by them. Another really cool thing about these flies is the adults fly really, really, really fast. They're some of the fastest known insects. Some of them go over 50 miles an hour. And not all of it, but some of the species actually lay their eggs on other flies that then bite animals. And so what they'll do is they'll fly over, grab a mosquito or a horsefly, hold it down, lay their egg on its head where it can't reach it, and then let it go. And then when it goes and bites one of those warm-blooded animals, then the larvae hatch, jump off, and go on to them. I don't know why they have the extra step, but it's like, nature does some really cool stuff. Another family of parasitic flies are the hippoboscids, the louse flies. They kind of look like a lice or a tick. These are external parasites of mammals and birds, so they just kind of hold on to the fur, and then they have a mouthpart that they just kind of jab in and suck blood. The adults, once they have wings for a short period of time, and then they fly, and then they find a host, and then once they find a host, they kind of shed their wings, and they just become like a little tick-like thing. One of the really cool things about hippoboscids is that the larvae, that the next generation, once they're fertilized, develop inside the mother's body. So the egg hatches inside of her. The larvae are basically fed as she eats. And when they hatch, they basically hatch as pupa that are about ready to become adults. And so like their life cycle, like as soon as she births them, they're like already teenagers.
Wonderful.
This is one of the more common ones. There's not a lot of species of hippoboscids here. Probably the most common one we have is called the neotropical deer cad. People call them cads. They're like little wingless flies. All right, I'm going to say this a lot tonight. One of my favorite families of flies are the hoverflies. There's probably, in our area, there's probably at least 50 or 60 species of hoverflies. I couldn't fit them all on one slide, and so it was really hard trying to pick, like, which ones am I going to talk about. So I just picked 3. There's a lot more hoverflies that are really cool to talk about. All of the hoverflies are flower feeders for the most part as adults. They eat pollen and nectar. They're really, really common on flowers any time of year, especially in the cold months right now. If you go out on a 50-degree, 60-degree day and it's sunny, and the only things that are maybe a couple of honeybees, you'll find hoverflies out. A lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them are bee or wasp mimics. We think that they mimic bees and wasps because the things that want to eat them don't want to eat bees and wasps because they'll get stung like birds. And so they have this strategy they've adapted where they can look like something that's scary, then people will leave, other things will leave them alone. So I've got side by side here, I've got the, anybody know what this is? Yeah, this is a southern yellow jacket queen, and this is the Texas hornet fly. So, a very, very good mimic of a southern yellow jacket. I don't know what we call it a hornet fly, we should call it the southern yellow jacket fly. But, I didn't get a name of it, so. Another really cool one are these flies called drone flies. There's several different species of them. They're all in the genus Eristolis. They kind of look like a drone of a honeybee. You've ever seen like the male ones that have kind of big eyes, big thumb suckers. But the larvae are what we call a rat tail maggot. They live in kind of dirty, polluted water where it's kind of low oxygen, and then they have this long snorkel that comes out of their butt because that's where they breathe. And so they stick that snorkel up above the water so they can get air, even though there's no oxygen in the water. So you'll find these if you're in like stagnant, gross creeks and ponds and stuff. You'll find these little things, little sausages with tails floating. Those are rat tail maggots. And they become these beautiful drone flies that are great pollinators. And then There's a bunch of streak tails, another group, Balagrapta. But are these kind of small, yellow and black striped things. They kind of look bee-like, they don't look 100% like a bee. They're really common on flowers all year long, and their larvae are these kind of slug-like looking things that crawl around on plants, and they eat aphids and scale insects.
That's good.
These are one of your kind of more beneficial flies to have around if you have aphid problems. Is they'll come in just like the ladybugs do. They'll come in and lay their eggs, and then we'll eat anything. So, and I want the street to go. All right. Everybody likes horse flies, right? I was just doing a talk about horse flies. Like that would be really scary, right? The female horse flies, just like female mosquitoes, they drink blood to nourish their eggs. The males and the females, when they're not, pregnant with eggs, mostly drink nectar. So, just same as mosquitoes, basically. They only drink blood whenever they're trying to raise a brood. The larvae are predators. They live usually in kind of wet soil or in shallow water on the edges of ponds. They're usually around some source of water, even if it's a shallow source of water. And they're important predators of other insects and worms and things in the soil. We've got the horse flies, Tabanus, are really large. This is probably the largest one that we have here. This is the black horsefly, Tabanus tritus. The good thing about this is that they're really, really big and really scary looking, but they usually don't bite people. They'll go after your cows and your horses and bite them and annoy them to no end, but they usually leave people alone. They're about the size of my thumb, really, really large insect. And then the deer fly is a little smaller. A lot of times these have kind of shiny green eyes. The way you can tell the difference between a horse fly and a deer fly without even looking is horse flies will tend to bite you like on the backs of your legs and your ankles kind of low, and deer flies will get you on the back of your neck. So they have different places they like to be. So if you're ever at the beach or near a marsh area and there's flies like biting on the back of your neck, it's one of these deer flies. It's a Cryptops. That's good. Yeah, these guys, they're annoying. But, they're annoying, but they have a purpose, right? The soldier flies are a really, really big group of flies. They come in all different shapes and sizes. A lot of them are bee and wasp mimics. Some of them are just weird and green, like Kermit the Frog here. This is the green soldier fly. And then there's one soldier fly that's really important. It's called the black soldier fly. That if you have a compost that gets kind of wetter than it's supposed to be, like mine, because I don't really like turning off in there, you'll get black soldier flies that'll come in and lay their eggs in there, and they'll eat all of that. They'll eat almost anything. If they like decaying material, they'll even eat like little bits of meat and stuff if you don't separate it out of your food waste. That's no problem. They'll just chomp through it. So they're really an important recycler, nutrient recycler. All of them have larvae that are basically just like scavengers. They just, whatever they find, they just will eat it. A lot of dead stuff.
So if you have those in your compost pile, is it something that you don't necessarily want because they're going to eat the decaying material? Or do they actually produce?
I'll say the difference between, like, if you want to have a worm compost, they'll kind of eat all the food before the worms get to it, and more of it becomes flies and then fly away. And so you'll have less left over at the end of the day if you want to spread that compost on your garden. But like if you're me and you're just kind of lazy and you just kind of want to put the food waste in there and you have it go away, they just eat it all summer long until we get kind of that first freeze in November, and then they all go pupate and spend the winter in the ground.
Okay.
What some people do is they'll take their food waste and they'll put it into a bin, and then at the bottom of that bin they have like a little one-way spout that drops out into their chicken pens, and whenever the larvae finish eating, and they go to leave and pupate in the ground, the little pupa falls out and the chickens eat them. Chickens just love them.
Organic chicken bite.
Yeah, most of the flies that look like bees and wasps, most of them don't bite. Most of them, if they're visiting flowers especially, most of them have mouth parts that are designed to just take nectar and pollen. So if you see something that looks like a bee or wasp, but you know it's a fly and it's on a flower, follow the same.
How can you tell it from a bee or a wasp? Is it a two wings?
It's the wings, yeah. If you look closely, you'll see that bees have 2 sets of wings on each side. And you kind of, as you look at them more and more and more, you just kind of get, it's like facial recognition. You kind of know it when you see it. When I see soldier flies, like they have these antennae that are kind of a little bit longer than the other flies that kind of stick out, they're kind of club-like. So when I see a fly that has an antenna like that, I automatically know it's a soldier fly, even if I've never seen it before. The long-legged flies, this is a common fly that you'll see kind of hanging out in your yard, hanging out in your garden. I used to think these were like leaf miners, and I learned a little bit more about them. Actually, the larvae usually live like in soil and will just eat like, small little invertebrates and things they find. But the adults are actually predators and eat other small flying insects. They're a little tiny predator. And then the males do this thing like whenever they're trying to attract a female, where they have these really elaborate dances they do with their long legs to like attract and impress the female. So I thought that was kind of cool. I don't know that I can do it. A similar group are these things called dance flies, family Impidae. And the males of the dance flies do this thing where they form these big swarms to attract the females, and they all just kind of fly up and down and up and down. But before they form this swarm, they go out and they catch an insect, because they're predators too. They catch an insect and then they wrap it in a silk balloon, a little silk ball.
Is that what those white things are?
Yeah, those little white things. So you see the little, look like little silk balloons that they're carrying, and they all fly up and down with their little balloon, and the females come in and they try to choose like who's got the best balloon. And the male, when the female chooses the male, he presents her with what's called the nuptial gift. He presents her with the nuptial gift, and she sits there and she holds on to it. And while they mate, she sits there and eats the insect that he's brought her.
Sounds like my ex wants to talk. You can't put him down for a minute?
The larger the insect that it brings, the longer it takes her to eat it, and the longer he gets to make.
Maybe that's where big balls came from.
Okay, one of my favorite groups of flies, are the robber flies.
He said that, I'm never finding one.
So when I was a kid, I recognized these kind of really common. They're usually kind of grayish or brownish colored, and they have kind of a long, pointy tail, big head with big eyes. And you'll see a lot of times they just kind of perch on things, and you'll see them just sort of either perched out on open ground or up on a stem or a stalk out in the open. These are, all of the robber flies are predators, and they are, in the insect world, they are like the apex predators. These are the lion out in the savannah. There is nothing really that they're scared of. There's nothing that, like, even things that are bigger than them that they can't take down. They're what we call perch and ambush hunters. So they find a perch, they sit there. A lot of times they'll take a perch out in an open sunny area, and the sun will kind of warm up their flight muscles. And just like a race car, that engine gets really hot, and then they just, they can zoom, and they can fly really fast, grab something, and then fly back to their perch.
Do they attack humans?
I've never seen or heard of a person being attacked. Like, if you're an insect, they are really dangerous. If you're a person, like, they don't even like care. a lot of them have, if you look at them up close, they have kind of like a bristly beard that sticks down these long, really hard bristles that come out from their mouth. And it's thought that kind of protects them from whenever they go and like grab, say, like a paper wasp or a hornet. It keeps them from being able to like get up and mess with their face. And they also have these really long legs that they can kind of hold it out either away from their body and turn it around. And then when they get it in the position they want, they have kind of dagger-like mouth parts that they just go and stick it into them and then inject them with digestive fluids and then suck all the juices out. So.
All right, so the big black one up here on the upper right, that's half the size of my finger, right?
Yeah. One of the largest flies that we have in Central Texas is called the Beelzebub bee eater, Malaphora lachinella. I've seen these guys take, the big red paper wasps. They're about twice as big as that. And that's a light snack for them. They tend to eat wasps mostly. Every once in a while you'll see them with a bee, but they tend to like wasps.
They live in Texas.
They live here.
So it's not attacking that. It's not attacking that finger right now. It's just sitting.
No, he's just sitting there. And like I've heard people say that there's ways that you can kind of get them to like perch because they like to perch. There's an advantage point, and so some of them, if you stand there, they'll come and they'll perch. If you provide a perch. I've never been able to do that, but if you're a fly whisperer, that's something to aspire to. Some of these specialize on eating houseflies, and then some of them are really small. It's hard to tell how small this little guy is, but they come in all sizes. So the biggest ones are, a couple of inches long, and the smallest ones are smaller than a housefly. These guys, Adamosia, are called micropanthers. I just thought that's a great name. And they're small, but they're fierce.
So they don't eat vegetation, they're carnivores.
They are carnivores, pure and simple. Yep.
Never thought.
And then another one, my very favorite. You said that already.
That's your third very favorite.
So we've talked about a lot of different flies that mimic bees and wasps. This is another one that mimics bees and wasps. Some of them. And I like to think of these things. So a lot of the bee flies, the Bombyliids, have kind of a long proboscis that sticks out that's adapted to drinking nectar from plants. Pretty much all of these feed on flowers as adults. I like to call them the hummingbirds of the fly world. And especially if you look at like Bombylius here, this is the greater bee fly, Bombylius major. It looks like a little fuzzy hummingbird with a long snout. And these are pretty common here in Central Texas. There are several species of Bombylius. They just look like little puffballs with a pointy nose. There's another thing I mentioned is a lot of flies don't have common names, so I've made up some of the common names here. Because it goes to this whole thing about like, you don't name the things that we don't care about, or that we don't pay attention to. And so, if you get interested and try to learn flies, it's a little frustrating because most of them don't have common names, they only have the Latin scientific names. And so I would just encourage you, if you want to learn more about flies, like, come up with your own names for them. They really do, I named this one, so this guy is called the old man bee fly. I didn't completely make that up. They're in the genus Geron. Gerontology. Yeah, they actually, the Latin name for this actually means it's kind of like an old man, so they're kind of like hunched over and kind of bald, and they kind of look like a little old man. Somebody thought so. But all of the bee flies, they feed on flowers as adults, but their larvae are all parasitoids. Some of them, like I think Bombylius, I think they lay their eggs in the holes of like solitary bees and wasps. The egg, some species, the bee fly larva goes in and just eats the food of the other thing. That's called kleptoparasitism. They just like steal their food, which is just as bad because they don't have any food, so they die. But some of them steal and eat all the food, and then they eat the larvae too. So kind of a double whammy. Bee flies in the genus Anthrax, another great name. They tend to be kind of flat colored, like charcoal, verb anthracite. This comes from the Greek word anthrax, just means black, like coal. So these are the coal bee flies or the charcoal bee flies. Some of these guys lay their eggs in tiger beetle burrows. And so if you know anything about tiger beetles, their larvae live in little burrows, and they're predators, and they just kind of, their head is kind of flush with the ground, and when something comes by, they just reach out, grab it, and pull it back in. And so it's dangerous to be close to tiger beetles. And so what the anthrax, what these bee flies will do is they'll fly down kind of close, but they know not how close they can get it. And then they'll take like an egg and they'll flick it with their leg and flick it and stick to the head of the tiger beetle, and then it'll fall down the back and then burrow into their skin. So
And eat them from the inside out.
inside out. Yep. And then they got inside their burrow where it's safe, because nobody's going to go into a tiger beetle burrow.
Andy, what's the lifetime of this? I mean, what is the life cycle? Like, how long is this?
Most of these flies are only adults for a few days to a few weeks. The larvae, depending on how long they take to develop, some of the ones that are aquatic may develop for several months. Mosquitoes can develop in a few days and then become adults. So it just varies from species to species.
So like they do this whole like flicking the larvae in, and then they eat and they do their thing, and then they grow into adults, and that's like what, 3 days, 2 weeks?
Probably a few weeks.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, probably a few weeks. And some of them might stay in that pupal stage for a really long time. Like if they're a species that's active in the fall, they may lay their eggs and then it eats the tiger beetle larvae or the wasp larvae, and then they just pupate down the hole and kind of go into hibernation until the spring. And then they come out. So it just depends on their life cycle. So, toward the end here, why should you care about flies? We talked about that they're important pollinators of a lot of things, trees and shrubs. This time of year, there's not a lot of wildflowers blooming yet. If you'll go out on a warm day, there's things like elderbush, the mountain laurel get ready to bloom, red buds, the plums. Take a look at all those early blooming shrubs, and you'll find flies pollinating. A lot of crops are pollinated by flies. They're thought to be kind of the second most importance behind bees overall in pollination services like worldwide.
Wow.
Does anybody like chocolate? Yeah. So chocolate is actually pollinated by a little fungus gnat. It's the only thing that pollinates it, and it produces kind of a mushroomy smell, kind of like this wildflower that attracts the little fungus gnats. And so if you like chocolate, you should thank the flies. Yeah. In addition to being pollinators, they're also great recyclers. They process all of these dead things, whether it be dead animals or dead plants or dead fungi, and they recycle that back to be used elsewhere in the ecosystem. They're important predators and parasites and parasitoids. We learned about the difference between those three things. And also they're super abundant. Like as far as like insect biomass goes, they're one of the most abundant types of insects out there. And so, yes.
Very abundant. Does that mean they're the fruit flies that come home with my bananas every time I go shopping?
What are the? Yeah, those are fruit flies.
Are those flies?
Those are a type of flies. Those are in the fruit fly family.
The gnat, well, the gnat, yeah. Okay.
Is a gnat a fly? A gnat isn't like a specific type of fly. It's just a small fly. A gnat, a midge, a mosquito. Those are all like names for like small flies. So, but they're super abundant and they're also tasty. So a lot of things with flies. And I would say like they're really, as you start to learn more and pay more attention to flies, you get excited about it. It's just like there's so much variety out there and so many different shapes and cool colors. And unlike the bees that like are just buzzing around like, they'll kind of sit there still for you long enough to take pictures. And so you can actually get a good picture of them and try to figure out what they are sometimes. So they're a little easier to learn about than things that move faster.
I have a question. In my greenhouse, I noticed this year, I have a lot of flies. And I have the yellow stickers hanging. And some of these flies are huge. But, I don't even know how they get in there because the windows were closed and.
They might have came in if you had like dirt that you brought in from pots. They might have already, the larva might, or egg might have already been in there. There's the type of fly that the larva in the soil. Yeah, they kind of, it's kind of magic, they show up places.
What percentage of the flies are not nice?
I would say a very small percentage, probably less than 1%, do anything that we would consider to be like detrimental.
Mosquitoes.
Yeah, we talked about some of the ones, some of the.
Well, malaria. Yeah, I think it's transported by mosquitoes. Right?
That's correct, yeah. There are flies that, we did talk a lot about like, the negative impacts of flies, because I'm trying to like, sell you guys here.
Covered up.
They do spread diseases. There's a lot of viruses that are carried by some of the blood-sucking flies, like mosquitoes, litter flies. Yeah, but the majority of the flies that you're going to find, if you go out in your garden, the majority of the flies you find out there are not going to be ones that are, and even the ones like house flies that might be spreading bacteria around in your kitchen are also might be important pollinators in your garden. They might also be like recycling nutrients in your compost pile. So even things that are bad in one context may not be bad in another.
Do bot flies lay their eggs on humans?
There are some bot flies that specialize on primates that will, if you go down to South America, there's ones that are like monkey bot flies that will lay their eggs on people. My brother lived in Paraguay for a little while, and they had kind of, they say you should iron your clothes every day, just in case. But we don't really have any here that really are protected, that I know of. So.
The parasitoids are
No, they're only attacking like insects usually. Yeah, small things. Yeah.
You did a great presentation.
So, to finish up here, how can you be a fly ally? So, if you so choose to be a fly ally, maintain a healthy living compost. So, a lot of flies are nutrient recyclers. And so if you have a good healthy compost with a lot of different types of organic matter in there, they're going to help break that down, they're going to help process those nutrients. And as they leave, they're going to be food for other things. Anything you do to improve the soil health in your yard and your gardens, healthier soil is going to have more bacteria, it's going to have more nematodes, it's going to have more of all those beneficial things that can feed the bigger things that can feed fly larvae. And so, if you have healthy soil in your garden, healthy soil in your yard, you're going to be supporting all the diversity of those flies that lay their eggs in the soil. If you avoid using outdoor insecticides just sort of indiscriminately, or other weapons of mass insect destruction, that will promote diversity of flies in and around your house. Those UV like electroshock lamps that people get for mosquitoes don't actually attract mosquitoes. The mosquitoes will come because they see a light, but when they come there, they're not really attracted to the light itself. They're attracted to carbon dioxide that we breathe out into more bodies, and so if it does bring any in, it just brings it in closer to you so that they can run you. But there are a lot of flies and other beneficial insects that are attracted to that UV light and go with that. So you're mostly killing things that are beneficial and almost not killing mosquitoes at all. So. And then I would just say plant a diverse mix of native plants and garden plants. A lot of flies like flowers. They feed on flowers, and so if you're trying to attract flies to be parasitoids of your caterpillars and your stink bugs and your squash bugs, like you want to have some kind of flowers blooming all year long so that they'll stick around and be there all year long before you even need them. They tend to like plants with kind of small clustered flowers, so things like in the carrot family are really popular. Daisies and asters are really popular. They're not super picky about what they'll visit, but just something with lots of little small flowers close together where they don't have to move around a bunch. They just like to kind of sit there, take their time, and go around and eat from a bunch of flowers. With that, I'll take any other questions you guys have.